Well, hey, what's up, everybody? This is Julian Garcia from Worship and Creative, and today we have a special guest who I love so much. One of a really good friend of mine, did a lot of work with him in ministry, but just a great leader, someone that we really enjoy talking to and just hearing the wisdom that he'll just impart in all of us today. But listen, as we're doing this today, don't forget, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. We want you to come back and don't ever miss an episode. We have so many great guests coming on to here, and we are excited about Alex DiMare, lead pastor of GraceCity Tampa. And they're about a year old, and he's an ex-creative pastor and now lead pastor of a church. But we're excited to get him on here. Alex, how you doing, bro?
Living the dream,
Good.
man. How you doing, Julian?
Oh, so good, man. We are just at same thing, living the dream as much as we can every single day. Every single day. Me and Alex both lived in a place where there was lots of rain and clouds and darkness and coffee. True. And now we both live in places that have a lot of sun, a lot of palm trees, and there's still coffee. And, you know, I haven't drank a hot coffee in over a year now, not even one. Every single one of them has been iced.
That's awesome.
Just living my best life with palm trees and pools. Are you loving it? Are you loving Florida?
Oh, man, we were made for Florida for sure. I was just telling someone today, I don't have to pop vitamin D pills anymore because I just live in the sun now. And
so true.
I do drink hot coffee still early in the morning because there's nothing like the sunrises and a warm coffee. But I tell you what, Florida is the dream. The only thing we got a one up on you with is the beach as well. So
you have the ocean. Yeah,
we do, man. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
We love Tampa.
Well, we have a lot of fake water here. We have some lakes that are handmade, by man. People just got desperate and they started filling it up with all the water we have in Arizona. So, but we still have a lot of fun out here. The sun is shining, man. And everybody has a pool. Everybody.
True.
It is absolutely amazing. Yeah, dude, we love Arizona, the desert. But you still get some rain in Florida, don't you?
Yep, about 3 p.m. every day we get a little downpour.
That's
it's
wild.
Fantastic. I don't have to water my grass.
That's wild.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when we have to do rain dances here, like we always are desperate for rain. Like, come on, Lord, bring us the rain.
Yeah,
we need some water
for sure.
Well, hey, why don't you do this? Can you just take a minute and just kind of just walk us through, like, who are you? Like, let's let the people know who Alex is, where you come from, and what you're doing now.
Yeah, I'm Alex DiMare. I am the lead pastor of GraceCity Tampa. Me and my wife came here at the beginning of 2021 to plant the church together. It has been an amazing, amazing ride. Kind of a bit of who we are. We have 4 kids, 6 and under. 2 boys, 2 girls. We've been married for 9 years as of this last week. So life has been phenomenal. It's been a whirlwind in every single way. And, I think it's been a beautiful journey, even from the time we've gotten married all the way to where we are now. Just the different places we've been through and the opportunities we've had and the ministries we've been a part of. God has just been preparing us for right now in ministry. And it's so evident. In many ways, we feel like there's wind behind our sails, and ministry has been so fruitful. I think that preparation season leading up till now, God has really made a way for us to operate at the level we're operating. And, just real briefly, a bit of history about ministry for me. Grew up as a pastor's kid, started leading worship in church when I was 14 years old. At 18, moved to Sydney, Australia to do Hillsong International Leadership College. Did songwriting and worship leading there. Phenomenal experience. Went on full-time staff there in facilities. And then at the end of that time, went back and youth pastored / worship led for my dad for about 4 years in Wenatchee, Washington, probably a place no one's ever heard of. After that, we spent 6 years, and that's where I met Julian. 6 years in Puyallup, Washington as a creative pastor and worship pastor at a church there. It was a phenomenal experience. So many opportunities for reps of leading and building ministries and launching ministries. It was an incredible time. Learned a lot of things that I want to do, learned a lot of things that I don't want to do. And I think that that's a good balance and dynamic in ministry.
Yeah.
And then over 2020, the beginning of the year, we went in and resigned as the creative pastors, stepped out in faith. We knew we were going to plant the church. We didn't know when and we didn't know where, but we knew God called us to. So we stepped out. Within a week, we got offered a position to be resident creative pastors in Beaverton, Oregon. We came down, helped kind of revamp that team in a couple ways and just kind of empower the team. We spent about 9 months there until all of a sudden our call came. An incredible pastor in Lakeland, Florida, called us and said, "Hey, would you ever want to plant in Tampa, Florida?" We came down here, saw it, fell in love with the city, fell in love with the people, and knew this was our spot. So within 4 months, we sold our house, packed up all of our stuff in a big truck, and then got in our minivan and moved down to Tampa, Florida. And that weekend announced our church. We are a GraceCity Church, which is a part of GraceCity Lakeland. We are the lead pastors, and then we have senior pastors over us. It's a beautiful structure that gives a lot of freedom, but also gives accountability. And so, I think in the idea of doing church and ministry healthy, you got to have both. You got to feel like there's freedom to be able to create the culture you want to create, but you also got to have the opportunity to have healthy accountability and oversight. And so we just decided we don't want to do church alone. So let's go plant a GraceCity Church. And it has been an amazing experience. So we oversee our staff, our finances, everything here, where we actually do church. We lead our church. We have our own council, all these things. But we just submit under the authority of Lakeland as our pastors. And so it's a beautiful thing. And, we moved here just over a year ago, planted the church 9 months ago. And then here we are today, 9 months into the journey, loving life and continuing to build ministry.
Wow. What a journey, bro. Like, you've kind of been all over the place, but you've also been faithful where you were at for a long time. And that's one thing that we don't see too much. And we see a lot of people just coming in like a revolving door constantly. And I just truly believe that consistency is key. Like, if you can stick it out and work through it, and, obviously all situations are different and, things happen and you go through things and whatever, and there's health and all that stuff. But you've really been a testament to showing that, hey, I'm just going to stick with this and stay true to who I'm called to be, without wavering, really. And so just really appreciate that about you, Alex, and just the friendship that we've built. And me and Alex, he mentioned that we worked together at one point, and we were kind of like movie buddies. Like, that's what we did. We didn't work in the same department really for most of the time. But we connected. And when I remember I was going through a really hard time in ministry in general, moved to that city, and Alex was the first person to say, "Hey, what's your number? Let's go hang out," and took me to Thai food and got to know me, and really just like befriended me real fast and easy. And so my relationship with you really is special. Like, it's always been special to me because you're the first person to really give me the opportunity just to talk and have an ear and, kind of just tell you what's going on and be real with. And I really appreciate that, and then we became like movie buddies. We got the movie pass for $5 a month. And went to every movie multiple times, and then they shut it down, and I was super sad, but we still made it happen. It was a good time.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Well, one thing about Alex, and the reason I wanted to make sure that we bring him on here on this podcast, is because Alex he's one of those guys that is infectious. Like, no matter what he puts his hands to, no matter who he's around, the people flock to him. They love him and they follow him wholeheartedly, and I'm not saying he's perfect. There's ups and downs. There's things that he's learned, and he's learned the hard way. But I also know that in his life and who he is as a leader, he's able to truly be one of those guys that goes, "I'm going to be there for you no matter what." And even just before this call, we were talking about how, with his leadership team and how he hangs out with them, how he brings them over every month, and he's spending time with them. They're in his home, like that kind of stuff. You just don't see leaders do that much anymore. They leave church and they have their own life outside of that, and they don't really want to do that much. And this is such a testament to that. And so here on Worship and Creative, we're spending a lot of time just talking about health, and we're talking about leadership and how they coincide together. And I really feel like the church can just be better at that, and that we can just, as a whole, we can be better at looking at our people and those who serve and those who are on staff and truly care about them on a next level where they're going to stick it out and be with you for years to come, and not be a revolving door. And so, Alex, can you just walk us through what are some key things that you do as a leader that causes your people to say, I'm going to stick with Alex? I mean, really, you have people who moved with you across the entire country to be with you.
Totally.
How do you create that kind of culture?
Yeah, man, there's so much that goes into that. We could talk for hours, I think. The most simple way I feel like I can explain this and help people to understand it is something I teach my team. And it's this idea of hype and depth. Hype and depth. So we really want to create sticky teams, sticky church, a place where people want to call it home, a place where people want to give their lives. And something I'm actually pretty intentional about is I believe longevity is beautiful, but I don't necessarily think it's a necessity in ministry. Jesus only had 3 years of ministry on this planet. I think the necessity is impact. And when you have great impact in short amount of time, you actually can help people and cultivate great culture. But longevity is beautiful. And if we can create longevity and impact, then you got something that's just, got the special sauce on it and it's different. And that's where I believe hype and depth is actually one of those things. See, hype is stuff like giving people opportunities to use their gifts. It's energy in the team. It's creating atmospheres. It's having shocking moments with your team. It's making them laugh. Creating an environment where it's attractive and people want to be a part of it. Like, when you look at a tree with fruit on it, there's something that draws us to that where we want to get something from that. It's attractive and there's a great, if you will, hype about it. It looks great. The thing that we don't see is the root structure beneath, which is the depth. And that's the stuff that enables people to stick. So we really have to have this attractional, mindset and culture about our team, which is hype. We at GraceCity Tampa, even one of the things that anytime people come and visit us, they go, I've never been to a church with so much joy. And it's not like that just happens because we've created a team where we make sure that every time we come into the house, anytime we have a group, we just have as much fun as we possibly can, laugh, go crazy, turn the music up louder, all the things, because we want to create that hype. Now, when you want people to stick, you got to have great depth. And how you do that as a leader is, first of all, pastoring. Now, I think pastoring has so many different, parts to it. But I think that some of the best things we can do is encouraging our people, challenging our people, bringing them through the word, creating a great foundation of culture through the word, and praying for them. And I think part of even praying for them so often is we forget that our comments of I'm praying for you isn't enough unless it's followed up by here's a text message of I'm still praying for you, or how is this going? Because that kind of pastoring is something that's reciprocated, and now there's impact on both sides. I've impacted them, they impact me, right? This is just the reality of a life-giving relationship. So pastoring is a huge part of that. Another one would be training people. Like, we have this opportunity in church. I think too often we forget, like, we'll sit and like thank our volunteers. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for giving all your time and energy to do this thing. And I think that that's a wrong mindset or way of doing it. Like, I think we should thank people after the fact, but I also think this is an opportunity for people to use their gifts for Jesus. Like, and the things they get to do and the opportunity they have to use their gifts or use equipment that they would never be able to use before.
So
like,
true.
It's a beautiful thing. So in the idea of creating depth, we got to show people, we got to teach people, and we have to enable people, right? As much as we can. This is what being leaders in ministry, an opportunity for us to create depth in people. Like, they're learning stuff at church for free that they would otherwise pay thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for. And I think that it's an amazing opportunity for them. And in return, it's an amazing opportunity for us. And so, yes, we should have gratitude, but we shouldn't come like almost ashamed that people have to give up their lives for this. No, like,
so
Jesus
true.
gave Jesus gave his life on the cross for this. Like we could
For
get,
sure.
like we're here to lay down our lives. Like Galatians 2:20, I've been crucified with Christ. No longer I live, but Christ lives in me. So it's like
Yeah.
this should be our response now, is just to lay our lives down in a healthy way, I would say. Then like 3 other quick things I would say is fellowship. Like if you want to create depth, you create true fellowship. You create friendship, companionship, camaraderie between people. And this is not an accidental thing. This is choosing to say we won't be a church of cliques, but we will be a church of circles, and creating cultures of being inclusive rather than exclusive. Like, I don't care. I think it's beautiful to have groups of people that are like-minded and associated with the right things, right?
Yeah.
They have a great affinity over things. But what we have to do is make sure that those circles are open and accepting for people to come be a part of them. And so that's another great thing. One of the biggest things is just consistency. Like just being consistent with people is such a big deal. Just showing up. And I even tell pastors this all the time. I'll say, even if it's not your thing, rock up to it and just show your consistency of your love for them. Like if you got somebody under your team and there's like layers, like somebody over, for instance, like a worship pastor layer, and you got like a youth worship pastor, and the only time you connect with them is like midweek, and you never actually go and let them lead you in worship, I think you're missing something in the consistency side of showing them your support and showing them that you're about them. And so, I love to say, like, be an anchor in the house. Like, if we want to create healthy ministries with great depth, we have to be an anchor in the house. Just like roots are established in the house or, in the ground, and they're immovable in every storm. That's what we have to be for the house of God. And then the last one is, just giving people their why. Like something even in the ministry we were a part of, we always talked about the why always drives the what. And it's a great reality to remember and understand that the why does always drive the what. And so if we could just bring people back to their why, we'll spend our circle up time. We do a pre-service prayer where all of our volunteers come and sit in the room. And I don't take that time to just like, fluff around or encourage people. I legit bring everybody back to their why. Why are we here? And then it helps people to remember the what that they're doing actually means something. It gives people an identity, and it helps them to be missional and things. And so, like, I know that's a lot, but this is just something I'm so passionate about. Is we have to create an amazing atmosphere of hype where people want to be a part of it. They want to look at it and go, oh, I should like join that because it's really rad. But then we also need to have depth where people go, oh, like I'm actually utilizing my gifts for Jesus. And we could keep going forever with like helping people to remember the priority of reading their Bible, having a solid devotional life. And all of that just comes from the top down. If you have a solid devotional life, you talk about that. You have a great prayer life. You talk about that. You shape what it looks like to be a great Christian, someone who follows after the Lord. People will follow suit. It's just the reality of it.
That's so real, man. It's so real. And, that's one of those things that I feel like we always challenged each other. And especially you, like you are like the most honest leader and Christian I've ever been around when it comes to just like even your struggles and the things that you're dealing with in your mind. And I think, as you're saying all that, you're not just talking fluff right now. You're actually being real about who you are as a person. And if you're struggling, you're going to be honest about it, and you're going to talk about it with those that you're surrounded with, and just grow in that. Because I mean, how many of us, you have to ask yourself, how many of us listening to this right now, how many of us really have something that we struggle with? Maybe, whether it's a sin or if it's just, thought life or whatever. How many of us are struggling through that and we're not talking about it with the people around us? And so for you, you're just what you just said at the very end, living a actual Christian, God loving, intentional life. That's what's going to get you through. That's truly what's going to get you through. And for me, like the last couple of months, going through a hard time and different things in my life, the one thing that's kept me afloat is truly the Word of God, and then speaking the truth to my heart, speaking that truth to my mind every single day. Do I believe it 100% every single day? Probably not. But do I know that it's true and that it's going to be okay at the end of the day? For sure. It's just sometimes I'm like, Your bad can so outweigh your good constantly because it's loud. Your bad is your whatever's bad in your life, it seems louder. But we need to learn how to celebrate, like you're saying, celebrate people, celebrate what's going on, celebrate the good of what God is doing. And so for you, when it comes to living that life, you're obviously a busy guy. You got you have 10 kids now. I mean, how many? You just keep having babies.
Yeah.
You got 4 kids. You got a wife. You have a church. You're a creative guy. I don't know if you're still writing songs, like all that kind of stuff that you're constantly doing. How do you even balance being all those things, being a dad, being a husband, being a pastor, being a creative, whatever, being all those things and still growing your relationship with the Lord to the point where you can stay afloat and stay healthy in your life?
Yeah. I think that we've been told our entire lives, you lay out your priority list of life. You have God, family, job, whatever else is after that, health, friendships. You kind of lay out your priority list, and that's what helps to keep you in lock. Like, what are you going to prioritize at what times? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think the issue with that, and I've said this quite a few times, I think the issue with that is like people have misunderstood who God is and how he's meant to be a part of your life.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue is God isn't meant to ever be on your list of priorities.
Hey, say that.
God is your list of priorities.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your family, God. When it comes to church, God. It's, Paul, who talks about like praying constantly, like it seems so impossible, but it's like, no, we should live a life that's ever moving and breathing with God. And we shouldn't partition our lives to go, now I'm going to do this, now I'm going to do this, now I'm going to do this. And I get it. We need to prioritize time with the Lord, but it should just be a part of our lives that we live and move and breathe with the Lord and allow him to be a part of everything. But for me, so when I understand that, now it shifts my perspective that family time can hold so much more power, also freedom. Like it doesn't need to be so like stingy or robotic. Like this is just who I am. I'm a follower of Jesus. Like I live a lifestyle of that. Like what I say on the pulpit matches up to my life. Like this isn't some disconnect. And that's one of the things I'm most passionate about in life is how can I make sure that who I am on stage is the same person behind closed doors? Like if I'm not proud of it on stage, then I'm not going to live it behind closed doors. That's just the reality of what me and Brianna have decided with our lives. And so there's many things that we've said no to enable us just to be the same every single place that we go. For me, something Brianna and I have recently started because there is so much going on in our lives, and I'm mad inspired by Craig Groeschel's lifestyle. Not that I'll ever be yoked like him. Don't get me wrong.
Oh gosh, no, I'm trying.
but I'm so inspired by his lifestyle in the fact of how early he gets up. And my wife read a book called The 5 a.m. Club, which in the last couple of weeks has been such a big part of our lives. And not that every day we've gotten up at 5 a.m., but getting up before our kids get up, being intentional to read our Bibles, to make a coffee, to have a conversation, to like build our relationship with the Lord, to build our relationship with each other before the chaos of everything comes in, of all these kids,
so real,
everybody needing all these things. And then all of a sudden the text messages start going and the emails start going. I also really intentionally make sure that I don't overextend myself with church stuff. Like I just want to make sure that if I have like work stuff to do with church, it's going to be between 9 and 3. Like, I know that's crazy. Not that I'm only working between 9 and 3. I'll do a lot of studying and I'll do a lot of podcasts and I'll do a lot of things to equip myself. And then we do all of our meetings with people after 8 p.m. It's kind of just the great flow that we have. But I want to be so present with my family because I believe that's a massive part of this living, moving, breathing thing is to be an incredible dad, an incredible husband, and make sure that we keep, reflecting God in every part of our lives. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to partition out me as a person. We're really intentional with our Sabbath. We want to make sure we emphasize all the spiritual disciplines within our week. We don't always hit them, but can I tell you, there's just so much freedom in the fact of not feeling the pressure of, oh, I have to fast like 3 days this week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just let it be a part of our routine. And I love that freedom because I'm a creative at heart, and I constantly am in the clouds, like just trying to think of things and trying to like be inspired about new processes and stuff, which is kind of a weird role for me to be a lead pastor now. But it's beautiful in the sense of, just having the freedom to really create what we want to create. So I guess that's kind of what I would say about that.
Yeah. And so, and the reason I bring that up is because a lot of people say, I don't have the time, or I can't find the time. And I think what you said, the mindset is everything. You mentioned that you live your life, you have your job, God, you have church, God, like God's in everything that you do. And Paul says to pray all the time. And truly, like, we really should be praying all the time like that, and constantly in every situation, everything that we're going through. A lot of times my wife literally will ask me, like, what are you saying? Who are you talking to? I'm like, I'm just talking to the Lord. Like, I literally just in this moment where I'm just, having a moment because I need to just bring it to him and do that in my life. But that's truly what we need to do, because when you say you don't have the time, like, man, okay, make time. If you don't have time to have intentional time with the Lord and read your Bible, like, you need to make that your number one priority. So get up 30 minutes early, like whatever it takes for you to make that time, then you need to do it. I'm a late night guy, right? So getting up early is not my strong suit. Cause I like to stay up super late, and that's when I get like most of my stuff done when it comes to work. And so getting up early is like, the worst. I hate it. It is not my strong suit. I try. I'm the worst in the morning. Like, so much so that like I'll forget the simplest things in the morning because my brain's just not functioning. But what I've had to do in my personal life is completely change my mindset on how I'm going to live my life. And so, yes, I'm productive at night, but I've chosen to no longer live that life as much as possible because it ruins my mornings. And so just the other day, I had to work till 2 a.m. to get something done, a project done for the next morning. And I was just like so mad at myself because when the next day, the rest of the day was horrible. So now I'm having to really prioritize, what time am I going to bed? What time am I waking up? What am I doing to get in the word? And I think that changes often too. I don't have one routine that I've stuck to. I did like the soap journal for years. And then I got to the point where I'm like, I have to do something different. Like this isn't working for me anymore. And I changed it up, And so, but making that time, you can, like, if you're out there and you're thinking to yourself, I literally do not have time. I'm telling you, there is time that you can make to have intentional time with the Lord. There is time that you can definitely make to have intentional time with your family, wherever you're at. And no excuses, like at the end of the day, we just can't make excuses anymore of why we can't do what we're called to do.
So true.
And
it's good.
It's a mental game. You have to be on top of your mental game. But yeah, man, I think that was so life-giving just now, because people are struggling. And a lot of creatives especially overwork themselves. You mentioned that you make sure that you work on church stuff from this time to this time, and you're not overworking yourself on church. And I think that's a good thing to do. And what it does is, I feel like it allows us to have a moment where we're able to get full on focused time, and then you shut it down. It's okay to shut it down. I tell my wife all the time, babe, when was the last time you shut down your computer? She's like, my computer's acting weird. I'm like, when was the last time you just shut it down and just let it rest? That's literally the same thing with our lives. Like, we have to shut it down and allow ourselves to have rest so that we can get refueled for whatever's coming next, in our lives. So
let me add to that really fast, in the sense of,
please do.
Something I firmly believe in is, I'll say this all the time. I'm not busy. I just have a lot going on. And I think that mindset is really important in ministry and in life, because we all have so much going on, and it's such an easy cop out. But like, our life motto, Brianna and I's life motto, is embrace the chaos. Because the matter of fact is, there will be chaos in your life. It will be crazy for the rest of your life. you will feel like, even I talk to every retired person and they go, man, it feels like I got more going on now than I had when I wasn't retired. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah, it's because our lives until we die will be chaotic. So just choose to embrace that and say, I'm not busy.
So
I just got a lot going on. And yeah, I probably am going to be tired until the day that I die. Like, I just think I probably will be, with maybe until my kids leave the house. Maybe I'll get a little bit better sleep or something. But, you know, I'm just saying, like, we just have to embrace this thing and just run our race and go for it and do the best that we can in the midst of all that. Because I really believe that we got to make an impact.
Yeah, that's so true. So true. Embrace the chaos. If you didn't hear that, I'm going to say it again. Embrace the chaos. That's what we got to do, because it is going to be that way. No matter what you try to do for your life, it's going to be chaotic. You just have to learn how to live and work with it and around it, you know, because
so good.
I mean, it's just, especially when you have kids and you're married and you're in full-time work or ministry, whatever it is for you, and you're trying to get stuff done. Sometimes I hear it all the time. I don't have enough time in the day. I'm like, you're right. You don't.
Right.
So just make the best of it. There's still tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to come. And 100%. Guess what? You can pick up right where you left off. So shut it off. Shut it down. That's it. So real, man. That's so good. So let's talk about this real quick. You were a creative pastor for so long. You were on that side of I remember seeing you fight for your ministry. And I've seen you literally go hand in hand with leadership in your life, saying, no, I'm going to fight for what I believe in. We got to move forward. And you're pushing things forward as a creative. So now that you're in the lead pastor position and you're leading that team, and I know it's still fresh, and you're not exactly at that full on, like, bunch of full-time employees and stuff like that. So it's not that level yet, but you are dealing with it, and I could see it. But what's your perspective now that you've shifted from being the guy who doesn't make the ultimate decision and having to fight for the ministry? Now you're having to fight for every ministry compared to the one that you're in charge of. What's that like? What's the shift? What are you doing in your mind to help you just move forward in that position? Yeah.
No, it's a great point. I think it all depends on the culture of your house.
Yeah.
Like, the culture of your house has everything to do with what it looks like. And I think that some of the tension that I experienced as a creative pastor was there was things in the culture of the house that I wanted to see move forward that weren't prioritized from the top down. And honestly, like, what I've learned more than ever before is if it's not on the heart of the leader, it's never going to have the wind behind it like you want it to have.
Yep.
Like,
for sure.
It needs to be a part of the DNA of that house. And that was something, like, for instance, a great example was albums. All those times, it was like I was sitting in the executive pastor's office and the senior pastor's office begging for just enough money to get this thing mixed so that we could put out these full-length albums, which, I think it was their idea. Like, we would love to do this, but they were also, like, very business-minded and going, how are we going to afford all this? And I think there's that tension always now. Yeah. Now that I am in the leadership role of going, wow, how are we going to be able to balance all the ins and outs financially to be able to do this? So I have more respect for that position now that I carry the weight of understanding finances as a whole, and the amount that we're dishing out, even as a church plant. It's pretty wild. So I have a more respect for them, but at the same time, it's encouraged me. Like, one of the biggest things that I just believe in is my goal in life is just to be a stepping stone for people. Honestly, I really honestly pray that no one ever asks me to guest preach at their church, because I have no desire to go to somebody. Like, I just feel like I'm supposed to raise up leaders and send them and empower people to operate in their grace zone. And so if I can create that and just keep putting people on my shoulders, I just want to see their dreams come to life. And all the while, it's like every time I release somebody to do something, it feels like now I'm operating in my grace zone more than ever before. Like, this is what I'm on this earth to do. And so when it comes to even my creative team now, led by Bobby and Kenzie Walker, who are phenomenal,
Phenomenal. Yep.
creatives, insane. But when it comes to them, I basically, like, for instance, we had a worship night at the beginning of the year. And within like 10 minutes, I could come up with vision of what the worship night is supposed to be focused on and what we're going to do. And I could just tell Bobby, what are we going to do for that night? And he loves me so much and trusts me so much, and we have a great relationship, that it would be a no-brainer and he would just go for it.
Yeah.
But what I choose to do now, because I so believe in leaders and I want to put people on my shoulders as much as I can, I go to Bobby and I say, hey, I want you to cast vision of where the church is going to go during this worship night and what's going to happen during it. Yeah. So Bobby took some time and wrote up this document, wrote out this great, beautiful, like, statement of what the night is going to be about. And can I tell you, it wasn't what I was thinking, but it was what he was thinking. And the night was better than we could have ever hoped or imagined. Like, it was phenomenal. Yeah. And I just watched as, like, now the ownership of Bobby, he was able to outwork that. And I just got to sit back and go, this is freaking rad. Like, I even prepared my little ministry time moment under the vision that Bobby had created, you know?
Wow.
And that's where, like, the upside down triangle of church, if you will, like, people get it wrong in so many ways. They go, okay, I'm the pastor, so yeah, I'm on the bottom of the triangle, like Jesus would have been, washing people's feet and all that stuff. But yet I'm still going to have the final word, and I'm still going to, like, it's going to be all on me because I'm holding it. It shouldn't look like that. It should look like, how can we just release people? How can we, like, be pushing people up and more and giving them more opportunities? And I just tell you what, man, it just creates such a healthy culture where people just want to be a part of this thing, not have to be a part of it, you know? So I think that's some of the biggest things that I've learned in the last little bit. I understand the journey more. I understand the finance side and understand the pressure, but I also know, like, I'm going to cast a really big blanket of vision so people can find their pockets and go for it under there. And then also there's the beautiful thing of we are submitted under GraceCity Lakeland as well. And so there's some even bigger vision, umbrella vision of doing some big global work and all this stuff, which is really rad. And so there's things that even we all get to be a part of as well, which makes this whole thing just a beautiful, organism and organization to be a part of.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And I think you hit it right on the nose. It depends on your culture. What's the culture of your church? What's the vision of your church? Yeah. You know, and I think that's probably one of the biggest mistakes that we make, because we do have big dreams and we have thoughts. And if it doesn't line up with the vision of the house, don't waste your time. You know, like, do not waste your time. Like, just focus, ask the pastor, hey, what do you have a vision for this house? So where are we going? What's the role that you want me to, where's my grace zone? Where am I going? How am I going to do the best service to this house and work forward? You know, and that's really humbling. That's really hard, because we might think our ideas are better, right? And we might think, like, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. But the truth is, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how smart you are, if you're the smartest guy in the room or you have the best ideas. If it doesn't line up with the house, it's the waste of time. You know, don't waste your time on stuff, you know, and that's one of the things I wish I would have known at a younger age, because I would have saved a lot of heartache in my ministry in my life, you know, because I'm like, what's wrong with you? You're missing, you're slowing us down. We got to move forward. And instead just falling in line and figuring that out, you know, and I'm telling you right now, people will say, but my leaders are terrible. Like, but they do this and they do that. And so how do we even respond to someone who might have a leader who's, you know, crazy or just mean or doesn't want to listen to anybody, period, you know, and they're in a culture like that, but they are submitted and they're working there and they're part of that.
Yeah. I think, first of all, what I'd say is comparison will kill you in ministry. And that's important to see, because what we're doing is we're putting too much on our leaders, thinking we need to look like somebody else. Yeah. Like, all these people crush it at Instagram or put up these sermon clips that, like, blow your mind, or put out these albums. And you're like, if we want to be a healthy, successful church, we have to do that too. That's completely unfair for every single pastor across the face of the earth. Like, so what has God called them to do, and submit under that and love that? And yes, you can push it a little bit and go, hey, do you think you'd ever do you have a heart to release music? Do you have a heart to create this or, whatever? And sometimes they do. And if they do, you're graced for it. Like there was this whole conversation, like you're great, is that church graced for albums? And it's like, yeah, is the pastor graced to lead a church with albums? And does he have the vision for that? Does he feel like he's heard the voice of God say that that's what's supposed to be on the house or not? Because some pastors are just supposed to disciple people. And that's
so
beautiful.
True.
Like, did Paul go out and write albums or did he just plant churches?
Yeah, so true.
So why are we comparing and making it like every other church? We have to be just like them. Like, forget it. Like, run in your zone, do your thing. Now, when it comes to that helps to take the pressure off your leadership. Now, when it comes to unhealthy leaders, first of all, you got to know that you're called. Like, if you're called to that place, then you stay there until God releases you. Now, abuse is not okay. And that's when you better be running and you better get out of that place. Because if they are hurting you, if they are manipulating you, if they're saying things that hurt you, whatever it is, you need to hightail out of there and go to a healthy church environment, which there are so many. Like, we hear of the unhealth, but can I tell you there are so many healthy, beautiful churches that you've never heard of, and that's the best church to be a part of. Like, stop running to the big ones you've heard of that you think are going to be like, you're going to be the all-star. Run to the healthy ones that no one's ever heard of and just die there and give your life for it. And someday you're going to stand before Jesus and you're going to get a well done, good and faithful servant. So know your timing with all of it. Like if you're called there, that was, part of our journey was knowing that we had a season, like we knew that our season was coming to an end. There were some things we didn't necessarily agree with, but also we were waiting for God's assignment and calling. And that we waited for that moment, for that release. And when we got it, it was like within a week, we went out and gave our resignation because we knew. So when dealing with that stuff, you have to figure out how to decompress as well. There's so many things that come. And let me tell you, the people in your team and the people in your church are not the people to decompress with. Like, I've made that mistake before, and it just bites you in the butt and it sucks. Like, get outside people to decompress with. Like, if it's inside your church and inside your team, it could be gossip, it could be slander, and it just is dysfunctional. And you're creating all this disunity underneath the leadership that doesn't need to be there. Like, unless it's a serious moral offense, if that's the thing that happens, there's a moral disruption that happens, you need to approach the council or approach executive team and let them know of that offense. But that's something I've learned along the way, because I've made the mistake of talking to a few people around me, and it just got weird and dysfunctional, and it wasn't helpful at all. But I didn't know at a young age how to decompress from all the pressure and weight of feeling like I was a part of something dysfunctional. So find good people in your life, get great advice. And then the biggest thing I'd say is when you leave, go take a season to rest and heal. Like a couple months, a year, and just take a breath and decompress, figure out what are the things you're going to do that you learned from that house. Figure out the things, what are you not going to do that you learned from that house. That was the best thing we did is, yes, we moved to Beaverton, and it was supposed to be just, I was going to be a worship lead and hang for a year, but then COVID hit and they needed me to step into an interim creative pastor role. And I did. But even then, it was such a chill environment. I was able to decompress, regain trust in leaders, go through some counseling, get on the right track. And so, something else I would just say, I would add to that is you are not ever going to be the accountability partner of your pastor. It's just not, it's not going to work. As much as they might be open to it, it just doesn't work all the time. Now, I would say with my team, because I've been a part of that where I wanted that relationship, I'm a little bit more open with them and I'll ask advice and I'll welcome it. But if your pastor's not asking it, it's not welcomed. And so that's where I would just go, make sure that you know which battles to fight and what to stand your ground on and which sword to die on,
That's so good. Yeah. No, Alex, that's right on. That's exactly what we needed to hear. because
Cool.
and it happens a lot. But you're 100% right, man. We hear about all the bad constantly. It's like Google reviews. Everybody loves to put bad Google reviews. That's like the favorite thing to do with people. What we don't see a lot, we have to convince people to give good Google reviews. Working with businesses and stuff in my line of work right now, I literally am like, you need to send them an email and ask them to put a review because they were good. They enjoyed you. They enjoyed your services. So do that. And same thing with churches, man. There are good churches out there. There are healthy, good churches. Now, are they always like the loudest and the coolest and the brightest? Probably not. But that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. At the end of the day, that's not what matters. What matters is that lives 100%. Are being transformed and that people are following Jesus. Like that's what we need to do. We're building disciples, the Great Commission. I mean, that's exactly what we're called to do. So I appreciate a church that's, just healthy, that just has a healthy culture for the people who are going and the people who work there, and that, and it might be quieter, and that's okay. I've chased the dream way too long in my life that I no longer need to, and made my mistakes, and the same thing, and so, but can you give us just a quick rundown? Where is your church? Where can they, if they're in Tampa right now and they're looking for a church to go to, tell them where to find you, how to find you, all that stuff.
Man, we are legit right downtown in the skyscrapers, basically. Like, we have this 120-year-old building right in the heart of Tampa that we have a 3-year lease at, with the potential to extend for 10 years. So right in the heart of Tampa, if you're in the area at all, you can get here within 25 minutes from anywhere in the city. It's pretty phenomenal. Our Instagram is at GraceCity Tampa. You're going to want to follow that. We're a part of the bigger collective of Grace City, so you can go follow Grace City Music as well. I know you're doing some stuff with Chase Wagner, who's the worship pastor at Grace City Lakeland. And over Grace City Music. And so just, I think it's a great thing to go listen to Grace City Music because it's phenomenal stuff. But you're welcome. We have one service because we got such a massive auditorium. And it's at 10 a.m. on every single Sunday. You can find us right here, on Instagram, right in the heart of Tampa. You're going to want to come out. It's going to be epic.
Incredible. And how long you guys been planted for?
9 months now.
Incredible.
It's nuts, dude. Yeah, we're in the grind.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a church, you're in Tampa, or you're visiting, go visit GraceCity Tampa. Yeah. And you said it's at GraceCity Tampa is your social handle.
That's social.
You got a website?
Yeah, GraceCityTampa.com.
Perfect. Easy. Straight to the point. Good job.
That's it.
Well, Alex, hey, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you getting on here with us and just spitting truth to the people. You bring a ton of value to my life, and I know that you're bringing a lot of new value to Tampa. And we're excited to see what God does in your ministry there at GraceCity Tampa. And hey, listen, if you're in Tampa, go visit their church. I'm telling you, don't want to miss out on it. I'm excited to go visit it. Alex is just one of the best people I've ever known in my entire life. I almost said he's a lover, but he's only a lover with his wife. So I'm going to keep that to myself. But yeah, go visit them. They got a great church. And thank you so much again, Alex. We really appreciate you getting on here and just having this chat with us, man. But until next time, we'll get you back on here. Okay.
Sounds great.
I mean, if you want to,
I'm in, man. I'm in.
All right, bro. We'll appreciate you. Well, hey, if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to this podcast, whether you're on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, or if you're on YouTube. Hey, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Never miss out on another podcast. Again, we have lots of great guests coming. So we're excited to see all that the Lord does here for you and your life. Until next time, we'll see you.